Hi, I'm Ken Kurzowski of TPWD's Inland Fisheries Division, and I'm presenting the proposed changes to freshwater fishing regulations that, if approved, will go into effect in September 2019. Here's a summary of the proposed changes for 2019-2020. We have changes or additions to bass regulations on 4 locations. In addition, we are proposing to modify the area for the 12-inch bass limit in southeast Texas. We also have some changes to alligator gar harvest regulations and requirements. Lake Conroe is an important fishery in the Houston metro area that has produced 17 sharelunkers. Sharelunkers are 13 pounds and larger bass that have been caught by anglers and submitted to us for spawning purposes. It has also been a popular tournament destination, hosting the 2017 Bassmasters Classic and 5 Toyota Texas Bass Classics. After the review and standardization of bass regulations done last year, it is the only lake with a 16-inch minimum length limit. Because of the importance of this lake, staff took a close look at this bass population and fishery. The current population was modeled under a 14-inch limit, and impacts to the fishery would most likely be minimal with a change from 16 to 14 inches. We always look to standardize regulations when possible, but maintaining good fish populations and angling is still our #1 goal. Mill Creek is a small lake near Canton that has a history of producing large bass. It has produced 4 sharelunkers and is currently managed with a 14 to 21-inch slot limit. We are proposing a 16-inch maximum length limit, which confines all harvest to bass less than 16 inches, but does allow temporary possession of bass over 24 inches and 13 pounds for submission to the Sharelunker program. Goals are to maximize catch of larger bass and allow harvest of smaller bass. Lakewood Lake is being developed as a Leander City Park and will include fishing access. This park is tentatively scheduled for opening in fall 2019. This lake will provide another opportunity in the Austin metro area for small lake fishing using kayaks and canoes. We are proposing implementing an 18-inch minimum length limit and a 3-fish daily bag for largemouth bass. This lake has an existing quality bass population, and an 18-inch limit is typically what we use to protect bass populations in these situations from overharvest. Allen Henry is one of our newer reservoirs, having been impounded in the early 1990s. It was originally stocked with largemouth and smallmouth bass and later with Alabama bass in 1996. The lake has been one of the top producers of sharelunkers. Alabama bass are considered a different species than spotted bass native to Texas. They are native to the Mobile River drainage in Alabama, Georgia, and Mississippi. Alabama bass attain larger sizes than spotted bass and seem to do best in highland reservoirs with water fluctuations. That's why we experimentally stock them into Allen Henry. We have managed both species with the 5-fish bag that allows harvest of 2 bass under 18 inches, which we have on this reservoir and 2 others, Jacksonville and O.H. Ively. Our goal for this bag was to redistribute the harvest and hopefully produce some bass over 18 inches. The number of sharelunkers from here attests to the good largemouth bass fishing, but while abundant, few Alabama bass exceed 18 inches. We are proposing to remove Alabama bass from the special 5-fish bag, which means anglers could harvest up to 5 Alabama bass of any length. Increased harvest of the abundant Alabama bass may benefit both bass fisheries. Since Allen Henry is the only lake with Alabama bass, this would eliminate a statewide exception to further simplify our rules. The change to a 12-inch limit was done in 2016 in response to increased interest in bass fishing and bass tournaments in the coastal estuaries of southeast Texas. The current regulation covers Galveston, Chambers, Jefferson, and Orange counties and includes any public waters that form boundaries with adjacent counties. It also includes the Sabine River from Toledo Bend Dam down to Sabine Pass. Toledo Bend Reservoir is not included. The change has been well received and has local support. We have had some compliance and enforceability issues with waters that border and extend into non-listed counties. We want to encompass those waters that have bass populations with similar characteristics to eliminate some of those issues. We are proposing adding a portion of Liberty County south of US Highway 90 and all of Hardin and Newton counties in an effort to improve understanding and enforceability of the regulation. Toledo Bend will continue to be excluded from the 12-inch limit. First, on the Trinity River, we are proposing a 48-inch maximum length limit. That means no alligator gar over 48 inches could be harvested. There would be no change to the statewide daily bag limit of 1. The length limit would be implemented on the Trinity River from I-30 Bridge in Dallas downstream to the I-10 Bridge in Chambers County, including the East Fork of the Trinity River to the dam at Lake Ray Hubbard. Under this limit, we would see more larger fish in the population, and most of the spawning age fish would be protected when they reach reproductive age. At 4 feet, females average around age 2 and males are around age 5. This limit would allow some limited harvest. Allowing harvest of some alligator gar under 48 inches would serve as a buffer to mistaken ID if persons are pursuing long-nosed gar. Most anglers come to the Trinity to take a large fish, so we don't believe levels of harvest on alligator gar below 48 inches would increase much above the current levels. A drawing would be implemented to allow persons selected to harvest one alligator gar over 48 inches in length per year from the same stretch of the Trinity River as described for the 48-inch maximum limit. The limited entry system would allow non-transferable harvest authorizations for a set number of alligator gar. Authorizations would be selected and distributed through a random draw of interested applicants. The opportunity for harvest would only be valid for one license year, September 1 through the following August 31st. Alligator gar could be harvested by any lawful means, including pole and line and bow fishing. The drawing is similar to what other states like Arkansas are doing to offer anglers an opportunity to take one large alligator gar per year while allowing the department to manage annual harvest to avoid a population decline and depletion of large alligator gar. From between 1/2 hour after sunset and 1/2 hour before sunrise, you would not be allowed to take or possess an alligator gar by means of lawful archery equipment or crossbow. This prohibition would be in effect statewide. There are concerns about the rapid evolution of technology and equipment used to target large alligator gar, especially during night. Prohibiting nighttime bow fishing for alligator gar is an additional proactive measure that would be taken to protect populations from potential overharvest. Next, we are proposing to require mandatory harvest reporting. Persons harvesting alligator gar would have to report the date, general location, size, and method within 24 hours by website or app, which is similar to the current requirements for eastern Turkey. We are proposing to exempt Falcon Reservoir, which has a 5-fish bag, as it appears to be a more robust population, and that information is not needed to manage that particular population. This system would give anglers the opportunity to participate in the management of the species and help ensure quality fishing for future generations of anglers. Also, harvest reporting statewide would aid in tracking any harvest that is displaced from the Trinity to other areas. That's my presentation of this year's freshwater fishing regulation proposals. You can go back to our site to comment on these proposals and the proposed changes to saltwater fishing and hunting regulations. Thanks for listening and your continued support of TPWD by your purchase of fishing and hunting licenses.